All right. Hey there, everybody. And thanks for joining me this afternoon as we talk about social media job advertising. So excited to dive into this topic here this afternoon. Sorry, let me just get my settings all good to go here. Here we go. And awesome. So as we kick things off, just expectation here. So we are going to be discussing how to properly leverage platforms like Facebook, Instagram for job advertising at scale. Leveraging these platforms to increase candidate flow, get your employer brand out there, increase candidate flow, specifically by leveraging Facebook and Instagram. So we're going to go over like strategy, but then also have some very clear takeaways so that you know exactly how to implement this, some good do's and some good don'ts to be successful with social media job advertising right off the gate. So quick intro to myself. My name is Sam Beiler. I am one of the co-founders, the CEO here at Boostpoint. Boostpoint is a software platform where our mission is to help organizations successfully implement targeted job advertising on social. So we've been doing this for 5 years. And we are completely dedicated to leveraging social media for job advertising. So have a lot of experience with this, and have seen a lot of successful implementations for some of the biggest brands in the world. And we're going to take everything that we've learned over the past 5 years, package it into this 30 minutes or so, and just give it to you for knowledge so that you're educated in potentially leveraging social media for your job advertising. So a couple things. Sorry, just going over my notes here. First thing I want to jump into is like understanding like what's the expectation that we should have when we're thinking about leveraging social media for job advertising. Like, are we talking, hey, this is specifically going to be for employer brand efforts, where we're getting people aware of our brand, but maybe not so much, on the candidate side? Or like, what's the mixture of this? Like, what can I expect with social media and the value, the KPIs that we that you want to be looking at, or on how to measure success with social media. So what we've seen is it can be a big part of both. When you talk of branding and the demand generation or the applicant generation side of things as well, properly implemented, you can see both of those. And we're specifically going to be talking about the paid side of social media versus the organic. The organic is, you're posting basically for free, on these platforms, and the people that follow your page are the ones seeing your content. What we're really going to be focusing on is the paid side. So taking targeted ads to certain geographies and how to get the most out of your ad spend with Facebook and Instagram. One of the big comparisons that we've been seeing this year specifically is comparing job board advertising and finding alternatives to platforms like Indeed, ZipRecruiter, and your popular job boards. Prices have been going up on those platforms. Candidate quality going down a lot. Like some of that just because of like AI that candidates can leverage for mass applying now and things like that. And so a lot of companies are coming to us and like looking for alternatives when it comes to supplementing what they're doing on job board advertising. One of the great things about social media in conjunction with job board advertising is you're targeting a different candidate pool with social media. Social media, you're really going after passive candidates, the passive candidate pool. 73% of all candidates taking new positions right now are in the passive candidate category, which means they're not actively searching for new jobs on job boards and other platforms. So that's the majority of the candidate pool. So the big question is like, how do we get our jobs in front of that candidate pool? And social media is the best platform for that. That's where we've seen the best return on investment versus, other advertising mediums, whether that be traditional advertising, or, digital advertising. So that's a big thing right now is, companies are looking for, alternatives when it comes to job advertising. And just because, CPAs are going up with platforms like Indeed, they're changing their pricing models, just making it more expensive. And what we've seen with social media is that you can be even more efficient in generating quality candidates for your advertising dollar than platform when you compare it to platforms like Indeed when it's implemented properly. But one example that comes to mind in client we started working with, they were running job ads at scale in healthcare for caregiver jobs. And they implemented social, Indeed, other job boards, and they really tracked things super well. And they had done a test with another social media provider. And a lot of this was just more focused on brand. They invested $10,000. And when they analyzed that, they really weren't able to see any tracked hires from their investment, and their cost per candidate was anywhere between $900 to $1,000, just like for one candidate. And then they had things fairly dialed in with Indeed, but their cost per hire was still relatively high, and they weren't able to replicate what they were doing with Indeed to scale that. So they started working with our strategy. They reduced their cost per hire, their cost per hire, not cost per applicant, to $800 to $900, where that's what they were paying per applicant before with their previous strategy. So I'll go through exactly like what types of things, why we see companies making some of those mistakes, why they're not seeing ROI, and how to fix some of those things. So let's jump into that right now. Like, okay, now that we've established some of the broad strategies of, why you might want to consider social media for job advertising. Now let's jump into specifically, like, what are these things? Like tactically, like, what do we do different? What do we need to set up to be successful with job advertising on platforms like Facebook and Instagram? So give me a second here. I'm going to share my screen. I usually like to bring this visual. And here we go. All right. So here's a snapshot of the candidate experience that you're looking to produce with social media. And I'll kind of go through each one of these sections just to talk through, like, how do you then implement this on social media? Because the broad stroke is you need to tailor the experience for the candidate. Candidate-centric advertising and streamlining that process to make it as easy as possible for the candidate to get information about your jobs and then apply for your open positions. So the first thing is in the ad content. So step one over here is, what does your ad look like? How are you capturing the attention of candidates as they're scrolling through Facebook or Instagram? The first part of that is your ad copy. So the words in your ad, the headline. This needs to be very explicit that this is a hiring opportunity. So to stop that scroll, just imagine, put yourself in the candidate's shoes. They're maybe on lunch break or in the evening scrolling through Facebook. And, they're seeing content from their friends, from their family, other ads, maybe e-commerce ads. You need to make sure your ad stands out right away as a hiring opportunity. So making sure, your headline includes, words like now hiring and maybe the position title, things like that. So that's one of the, it's good to be creative, but you also need to be clear as possible when it comes to your ad text and your ad copy. And so those are specific examples. Like one of the errors that I see certain people making on the ad copy side of things is trying to maybe get too, I don't know, creative might be the word with the ad copy, where it's like, yes, you want to be, creative and let your brand shine through your ads, but you also need to make sure it's as simple as possible and easy to understand. So you want to put in certain things about the job as well. But then when it comes to the ad copy, so we talked a little bit about headline, but now the ad copy, don't just copy and paste like your full job description over to the ad copy part of things. This you need to, again, think very candidate centric. Like, what's the first 3 lines of your ad? Make sure you're talking to the candidate of why they might be interested in this position, instead of going right to like maybe the requirements of the position. On the creatives or the images, the ad creative, when it comes to photos and potential videos, I'm going to bring up another example here. Give me a second. We've really seen a huge increase in performance when it comes to implementing vertical video. Vertical video is quickly becoming the best form of content when you're thinking of leveraging photos and or videos for your ads. So here's a quick example of like what types of videos we see perform really well on social. And let me just make sure I'm sharing the right screen here. Give me 1 second. All right, and share again. All right, so I'm just going to let this play here.
We are hiring in your local area. There's great pay, awesome benefits. Click the link below to apply.
We are hiring in your local area. There's great pay and awesome benefits. Click the link below to apply.
So that style of video is what we see performing really well right now for social media. You see, like, one thing here is super short. You want to be between 5 to 12 seconds and not much longer than that. Getting right to the point. And then any types of videos that are they call it UGC style, user generated content style. So it's kind of that selfie style video where it's like a person communicating directly to the camera versus showing maybe a bunch of B-roll of shots of maybe the position being performed and things like that, where it's like side profile video. What we see best is more that selfie style, the UGC style, talking right into the camera, talking a bit about the position, again, what makes the position attractive. Those types of videos we are seeing literally perform 2 to 3 times better than other forms of content, where that's the only shift and the only difference between ads. Your 2 to 3 times better performance with the same amount of ad dollars, just by making sure that your content is on point. So incorporating the right videos, incorporating again that style of videos. We have a lot of clients actually recording their own videos out in the field. They'll have a 5 to 10 second script, putting that in the hands of their employees and just capturing content with their iPhone. And that can be leveraged if you have clean audio, not too like shaky and things like that. So there's simple things like that you want to make sure, in your place, but you don't have to overthink the production of your videos, because that style of video, again, that's the style of content that people are used to seeing as they're scrolling through social media. All right, so that's the first step, is nailing your ad creative. What's the words of your ads? What's the content, the videos, the photos? That's the first step. The second step is thinking about conversion. So now you've caught the attention of your candidates. They click on their ad, they're engaged. What happens next? One of the biggest, this is actually the single biggest mistake that I see with social media job advertising, is you've done a great job with capturing the candidate's attention. They click apply, and then you're directing them to maybe your standard application on your ATS, where there's a huge barrier in that experience for them to actually apply for this position. This single thing has tanked a lot of campaigns that I've seen. Because, okay, they're doing a great job on the creative. They're doing a great job capturing the candidate's attention. But then once the candidate actually clicks on the ad, maybe they're sent to a Workday application where they need to fill out, 5, 10 questions, maybe create an account before they even apply. That process will greatly limit the amount of candidates that you're actually receiving from your advertising. Again, what you have to think through here is, someone's scrolling through Facebook, they click on the ad, they're not going to have their resume handy. They're not going to have the time to maybe fill out a ton of questions. So you really have to think about the experience of the candidate specifically in this section right here. So what we implement and what we have found by far the most successful is leveraging quick apply like applications right within the social media platform. So what this looks like for the candidate is they click on your ad, and then in the middle section here, they're directed to this quick apply application right within the Facebook platform. So they're not even leaving Facebook or Instagram. They're clicking on this. And here, since Facebook already has their contact information, things like first name, last name, email, phone number, those are already pre-populated. And then what you can do here is you can ask certain qualifying questions. Like, what are those knockout questions that you do want to know from candidates? You can still ask those within this form that you're creating, this application that you're creating within the social media platform. Another huge thing that Facebook just launched not too long ago is a feature that enables us to auto qualify candidates as well coming through social media. So an example of what that looks like, say you're hiring CDL drivers and a requirement is a CDL A license. What you can do is put that question within this form, and these are now logic-based forms where if someone answers no to that question, you can auto-qualify them out and deter them from applying for the position. Maybe it's sending them to your career site and saying, hey, sorry, you're not a good fit for this position. Here's other positions that might be a good fit for you. Things like we do a ton of healthcare advertising and recruiting. Hiring RNs. Do you have an RN license in your state? That's like a benchmark of qualification. If someone answers no to that question, you can auto qualify them out. And so we've seen this specific feature greatly enhance the qualification criteria of candidates coming through social media, because now you're not just getting random people filling out these forms. It's actually people that are already pre-vetted through this auto qualify feature that is now enabled in these quick apply applications. All right, so that's step 2. That's a huge one. If there's like even one takeaway from this, if you're considering launching social media, this is a huge one. Again, this is the biggest mistake that I see with people incorporating social media into their job advertising. If they're really looking for candidate flow, you have to look for ways to streamline the candidate experience. This is one of the biggest ways that you can do that. All right, so let's talk about the third step now. We've captured the attention of our audience, made it super easy for them to apply for the position. Now what happens? So Meta is a very complicated platform, their advertising platform. And these candidates, these leads are being captured through the platform. Now you need to think through, how do I get these candidates in front of my recruiters so that they can promptly follow up with these candidates, or whatever that next process is in the hiring process. How do you trigger this process in a streamlined way? If you're generating hundreds or thousands of candidates through social media, how do you make sure that they're going to the right place, the right recruiters? So this is a big step where you need to make sure you have the right systems and software in place to direct the candidates to the right place. Boostpoint, our platform, we have this built in to where either you can send notifications to recruiters when candidates come in, or we can directly integrate with your ATS. It's possible to integrate social media candidates directly into your ATS, or maybe you use a CRM where you do some auto engagement with platforms maybe like Phenom or Paradox. We can create these flows where you're generating these candidates and they're going straight to whatever platform you use, or having a platform like Boostpoint, a light CRM that you can keep track of the candidates that are coming in. So that's one of the big things too. You need to make sure that these candidates, now they're coming in, that they just don't sit somewhere for a day or two or a week without them being engaged. One of the things I'm going to note here as well is the speed of which you can connect with candidates is huge here as well. One of the things we built within our platform, Boostpoint, is not just the advertising side, but the engagement side through SMS, automatic SMS. So this is where we've seen a great increase of candidate engagement, is again, thinking about the candidate experience and whatever tools you want to use to create this, but this is the experience that we're recommending and that we've seen the best success rate is, as soon as a candidate applies, you're automatically engaging them with either SMS or email or whatever mode of communication you have set up to use. We're seeing the most success right now in SMS for follow-up, especially for hourly positions. So an example of what this could look like, I'm Sam, I'm applying for a position. I apply for the position through one of these Facebook ads. I get an automated text message saying, "Hey, Sam, thanks so much for applying for this position. My name is John Doe, the recruiter. When can we set up a time to talk?" Or whatever the next stage of the hiring process might be. Maybe it's scheduling an interview, through Calendly or a tool like that. Or just integrating to your ATS where your recruitment team is picking up these candidates as they're coming in and following up with them as soon as possible. All right. So that's the meat of it right there. The macro, pay a lot of attention to the candidate experience, and then syncing this up with your systems so that it's also streamlined for your internal people and your recruiters to be able to easily access the candidates that are coming through, and making that as seamless as possible. This properly implemented, we work with brands like USPS, Kohler, Generac, and hundreds of others where we've successfully implemented this process. And you can expect a huge lift in your candidate flow to augment of what maybe you might already be doing. And again, I think the biggest surprise from most of our clients who are integrating social media is they've historically thought of social media as more of strictly an employer branding play and not so much like direct candidate acquisition. And with implemented properly using these steps, every time you'll see that you're able to accomplish both of those, where you're also getting hundreds of thousands of brand impressions, people seeing your ads, but then you're also getting the high quality candidate flow that you would expect to see from other channels that you're investing advertising dollars into. One of the things that, so we launched Boostpoint 5 years ago with my co-founder, Jared Neff. And our mission has been to breaking down the complexity of social media advertising for talent acquisition teams to make it super easy to implement and be successful right off the bat. Like, that is our core mission at Boostpoint, where we put all of our energy towards. So we've really tried to remove the barriers of organizations being able to leverage social media. And we work with organizations that have 100 employees and organizations that have 10,000 plus employees as well. So like company size, we've seen it a great fit for a wide span of companies, staffing agencies. Really, the thing is you're looking for, do you have a consistent hiring need? We've also seen specifically like Facebook and Instagram be a better fit for more like hourly type of positions or non-professional positions, is where you'll see the best success rate for social media. So like standing jobs, where blue collar, we do a ton in transportation, healthcare, manufacturing, food service. Those types of positions is just where you have a more active audience on social media. So again, our mission at Boostpoint is to make this as easy as possible for organizations to implement this into their talent acquisition strategy. So one of the things we did last year to incorporate this is going to monthly commitments. Some companies you work with, you're needing to start out with a huge budget and a long-term commitment. We've taken away that barrier to where we work monthly with clients. So if you're like, hey Sam, this seems interesting, I might be interested in trying something, implementing something like this. Our process from here is getting you aware. You can schedule a time with my team to get a bit more information about your jobs and what implementation would look like. And then your onboarding call, and then where we figure out ad creatives, because we do everything from A to Z, get you familiar with the platform and be launched within a week or two, of that initial call, is how quickly we can implement this for you. We've tried to take a lot of the complexities out of this and make it really easy for you to implement, because we understand, yes, there's resource investments like money, advertising dollars, but then also your time is super valuable. And we've seen helping companies reduce, the ramp time. It's, we don't want this to be a 2-3 month ramp time. No, this can be a matter of weeks versus months if it's organized and done properly. So those are some of the things that we've done to simplify the strategy, simplify the onboarding process from going like, hey, I might want to do this, to I want to do this, and the steps involved there are super streamlined. If this is something that you're interested in finding out more about, like, our step is like, hey, let's jump on a one-on-one call where we talk more about your specific positions. I'm going to throw a link in the chat right now. If anybody would actually like to schedule something with our team to get a little more information, to see like we do like a position analysis, look at your particular positions that you're looking to advertise, help you build a solid budget expectation with that type of budget. Feel free to hit that link in the chat and book a time with either myself or one of my team members. We'd love to chat with you. I'm also going to open it up for some Q&A here at the end. If there are any specific questions, feel free to start throwing those in the Q&A section there. Should be on the bottom bar of the Zoom, your Zoom window. I'm going to start pulling that up. Again, feel free, any questions, throw those in the Q&A, and I can go through those one at a time. And all right, just pulling up some of the questions right now. There's a good one. How do you properly build a budget for social media? This is a great question, and it's really relative, of course, to like your organization and where you are at. Things that we look at, we have a lot of historical data with position types and like what your estimated like cost per applicant will be. That's different for a food service, someone working in food service than it is going to be like an RN. And the expectations there. So we have a lot of historical data of like what your estimated cost per applicant will be. And then it's really looking at your candidate volume needs and then doing some math there to build a budget specifically for, what you're looking to accomplish. Do you recommend this strategy for LinkedIn? Okay, so LinkedIn's a great one. We didn't touch on that here today. The main thing you'll want to think through for LinkedIn is where you will be more successful with more professional types of jobs. So more white collar jobs. That's where you'll tend to be more successful on LinkedIn. A lot of these same strategies will apply for LinkedIn. It is a whole different system than Facebook and Instagram. Boostpoint, we are currently not integrated with the LinkedIn platform because we more focus on high volume and hourly positions. But LinkedIn, you can take some of these same strategies, especially around the content side of things and the type of content that works, and apply this strategy to LinkedIn job advertising, and you'll see some of the same success there. Got another question here. Ooh, how do you ensure it's reaching the right audience who are looking for hourly jobs, like housekeepers, bartenders, etc.? So the targeting strategy here that we implement for social media that we've seen work really well is, number one, you're starting with geography targeting, and we are limited. No matter how you advertise on Meta, you are limited by their targeting criteria. And another layer of that is employment ads are categorized under what Meta describes as their special ad category, which removes some of the targeting criteria that you can implement. The way to offset that is by being very explicit in your content of who you're going after. And so again, for example, like things that you cannot specifically target for building your audiences is like age or interests. Like you can't go after people that are specifically interested in healthcare jobs. You're not getting that targeted. You can be very targeted from a geography perspective, but the way we've been able to still be successful, even though there's that limitation with targeting, is being very explicit in the job content of who you're going after. For example, like an RN position, say we're hiring RNs, making sure that's in the headline, like now hiring RNs. The content is very healthcare RN specific. What that will do is those types of people will interact with the ad, and then Facebook's algorithm takes over and will find more people like that. It's kind of like building their own version of like a lookalike audience. And we've had a lot of conversations with Facebook reps specifically on how to best leverage targeting, even though they've limited some of the direct targeting capabilities that they provide to advertisers. So that's kind of a long answer there as far as like how do you make sure you reach the right audience. So, but it's less about the building the targeting criteria within the platform, and it's more about being very focused in your ad content of who you're going after. All right. All right, it looks like that is all the questions that we have here today. We are going to wrap up here. Thanks so much, everybody, for spending some time with me here today. I hope you learned a lot around social media advertising. Again, if this is something that you'd like to look at implementing for your organization, feel free to go to boostpoint.com, schedule some time with us, or that link in the chat that I threw out there. Otherwise, again, thanks so much for spending some time with me, and hope you have a great rest of your week. See ya.